Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Andrew Seabrook from Live Sport Australia. I'm going to be joined in a minute by Will Taylor from SmashFM for one of our infrequent catch-ups, which seem to be fairly frequent on a Monday afternoon. Anywhere, though, between 6 o'clock, well, actually a little bit before 6 o'clock on a Monday afternoon here in Melbourne and about 8 o'clock. So we're trying to make a date of it to try and come along and catch up on the week's activity in the world, particularly in the world of basketball here in Victoria and a little bit around the country, and a little bit of other news as well from some of the other sports. Now, we've got a few new things happening today. So one of the things is we're trying to also at the same time simulcast to YouTube, so hopefully that's actually working as well. But even more exciting for us is that we can now take your comments if you put them if you're on Facebook and you care to comment on any of the topics that we're discussing, or if you'd like to ask us to comment on a particular topic, you can put a comment in the Facebook post for this stream, and hopefully we'll be able to see it and pick it up, display it on screen. So we're trying that. So if you are watching, we'd encourage you to give us some feedback, and we'd love to see how it all works. So fingers crossed it will actually work. But what I'd like to do is bring in Will at this point in time. Oh, hi, Will. How are you going?
Yes, good. Yourself, Andrew?
I am excellent. It's been a very nice day here in Melbourne. You've been stuck inside, slaving over a hot ledger, but I've had the day to recuperate from the weekend because it's been a very busy weekend, hasn't it?
Yeah, it definitely has, and I've had a busy triple header on Smash FM on the weekend. Started all on Friday night and right through to that Sunday down at Collingwood.
You have indeed. And of course, for those that are in the know, SEABL, Southeast Australian Basketball League, has had its first round. Big V, of course, has started a couple of rounds ago, and they played their third round this weekend. But SEABL has actually started, and you caught up with a couple of games, didn't you?
I did. I went out to Diamond Valley on the weekend on Friday night against Bendigo, which was our match broadcast. Of course, I want to especially thank the Diamond Valley Eagles the Diamond Valley Basketball Association, I should say, for allowing us to come out and broadcast their first ever SEABL game. So fantastic to see. With a great crowd out there. We'll talk a bit about that. How it all went for the women's and men's in just a moment from Diamond Valley. But let's quickly go through a couple of scores in the SEABL women, which surprised me on the weekend, Andrew, as we go for the women's first. Dandenong had their first loss already, of course that is against Ballarat, 73-51 on the weekend. And some other upsets that really stunned me, Andrew, was Kilsyth's big win over Hobart. Down at Hobart, 101-64. That surprised me because I would have thought Hobart, looking at their list, I thought they could have done maybe a little better than losing by around 37 points.
Yeah, it was always going to be an interesting one because you're never not certain how teams are going to go in that first round as well. Kilsyth has tooled up pretty well, but expect that both of the games down in Tasmania, because there was a double header for them, wasn't it?
Correct. Yes.
I thought they were actually going to be a lot tougher than perhaps they ended up being.
So and they ended up doing that fairly easily. Chelsea Delangelo had a fantastic game for the Cobras down there. Of course, she's only 19 years old, so. And she was the top scorer in that game for the Cobras and in the game as well. A couple of other results that really surprised me on the weekend. Melbourne didn't go too well against Nuttawading. I don't know if that was suspected, but I would have thought with the team they had on the court, they either would have won or got close to another winning. They end up losing by 22 points at the end. That surprised me. And Geelong, of course, they are the defending champions in the women's. They had a fantastic 8-point win over Sydney Uni, which was the ring ceremony down at Geelong. And then of course I'll talk a bit about the game I was at, Andrew. Bendigo and Diamond Valley in Greensboro on Friday night. Fantastic crowd out there to witness all what happened. Bendigo ended up winning 92-65 at the end, and it was the battle of the two amazing centres they had. Of course, for Bendigo, Nadine Payne. Of course, Gabe Richards didn't play in this game. But she was at the venue on the bench in that game in street clothes, but did not play for the for the Braves. But on the other hand, for Diamond Valley, they were without Izzy McBegor and Savannah Palvas. Both of them are at the Commonwealth Games at the moment, but it was pretty much up to Lauren Scherf to do all the work. Both Nadine and Lauren had a fantastic game. They both had a double-double. In that game, but Nadine and Kelly Wilson did the job for the Braves, won that game by 27 points, 92-65. But to Diamond Valley's credit, they did back it up and beat the Sabres by the very similar margin the following day.
Yeah, and then, again, there's going to be some really interesting stuff there. The Sabres, again, retooling. Both the men and the women. New coach in the men, Simon Giovannis, is coaching the men.
Okay.
There has been some movement down at the Sabres Nest. I believe there's a new board there as well. And certainly they were advertising for a new general manager as well. I don't know whether that's actually happened. So there's some off-field things going on down there. Of course, Brendan Joyce has been appointed as their director of coaching. And we can start to see in the juniors that's starting to kick in. Some of the junior teams are doing it extremely well. It'll be interesting watching how they go.
Oh, absolutely. And for Sandringham, obviously with no Brett Smart, who pretty much did a fantastic job when she was down here in Melbourne. Obviously, she's now in the WNBL. For Sydney, obviously, I think she's gone back to the US, and then of course she's going to come back for the WNBL season. I guess for Melbourne on the other hand, did that surprise you? 22-point loss to Nuttawatting?
Well, yes and no. Again, they've retooled. Luella Tomlinson's in there. She was the captain. It was very much a Boomers development squad with Beck Cole and Luella in there as well. Beck Cole played. I think she scored 22 points or something like that, and played about 34 minutes. So that's a promising sign for her. She's had a few injury niggles over the years, and so it's good if she can stay fit. But yeah, and they didn't get enough production out players there as well. So Nunawading, on the other hand, coming in really well. Jacinda Vandenberg, ex-Waverley Falcon, and Dan Inong Jr.
Yeah, and from the Oregon Ducks, which
last played in the Oregon Ducks, yeah, and of course they did make it. No, I don't think her team made it into the March Madness.
Yeah, they did.
They did, but they went out fairly early.
No, I think they finished in the semis. They lost to.
Okay.
Can't exactly remember who they played, but I think they played Mississippi and lost in the Final Four. Obviously, in this year's one.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was obviously 12 months ago, not this current crop. That's an Maley. And Ellie Maley is in Oregon at the moment. So she played 22 minutes and was obviously made a bit of a difference there. But I nearly went to watch this game, but
it was a Sunday.
Yeah, I had a few other things on.
But yeah, look, it was a fantastic game, and Miranda Whittle also coming off great college career herself. She had 26 points for the Spectres in that win against the Tigers.
Yeah, and she's going to be really hard to stop. I mean, that's if they're going to play like, like they obviously did. It'd be great to actually have a look at the game tape and see what it looked like. But I mean, the Melbourne squad is not a bad squad. They haven't really played a lot together yet, and they're trying to fit everyone into it. But I look, they're going to be better. They're going to be a lot better as they settle down and learn to play with each other.
Great. Well, of course, the ladder, all the teams that have won on the weekend: Kilsyth, Ballarat, Bendigo, Nunawading, Albury, Geelong, are all undefeated at the moment. So great signs, especially the country teams doing very well. Ballarat, Bendigo, Albury, and Geelong are all currently in the top 6 at the moment.
Yeah, it's almost like it's a country league at the moment, isn't it? So the metropolitan team's not doing as well as expected. Frankston was a good example of that. Both the men and the women went down. Yeah. Albury men a really good result, and the women.
Yeah,
So they got a double after what has been a couple of fairly lean seasons for them. It's a great way to start off as well.
In the men's, Diamond Valley, they were. I have to speak about the men's game in Bendigo because this is actually culminated what happened on the Saturday, Andrew. The game on Friday night, Diamond Valley 77, Bendigo 78. Great crowd out there, but Diamond Valley actually got behind fairly early. They were behind by 15 points halfway through the. I would say start of the third quarter. So at halftime they were behind by about 14. Into the third, they were down by 16, and then they pegged it back and they got back in front a couple of times in the last quarter, but they just ran out of legs. They had a chance to win it with 28 seconds left on the clock, but they missed 3 opportunities in that period of time, and unfortunately they lost that game 78-77. Jeremy Kendall had a fantastic game. He was just amazing. He ended up having 37 in that game, including the go-ahead basket that got them over the line by that single point. And then, funny enough, Diamond Valley had a very similar.
So we've just got a froze. So I just lost you. If you can see on the. I don't know what's happened here. Don't know what's happened. So we're back to the men's in Diamond Valley. It was about where. So start off with the men's. Okay, so we've got that going. I've lost you. Why have I lost you?
Well, they only want to see me on audio anyway.
Oh, we didn't put the. Would you like to just get up and turn the light on behind you? It's at the back. Yeah, cool. That's probably the one. Why can't I see your... $13. Okay, 13. All right. Nearly back. Okay, you ready? So we're talking about start at the men's. When, as soon as we get a picture back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we apologise for that. We've had some really strange things happening, and unfortunately, we lost our connection. Well, we actually lost one of our connection out to Will, so we lost his camera completely. But we've managed to get him back.
Yes, thank you very much there. And yes, well, lucky I didn't really miss much. Andrew, let's put it that way. Of course, I was talking about the Dime Valley Eagles in particular. And, well, fantastic night it was out at Dime Valley, especially in the men's. It was they had a mixed result, didn't they? They had a win and they had a loss by a single point on the weekend. Started on Friday night. They got behind early by 16 points at the start of the third quarter. They pegged it back. They actually got in front with about 2 minutes to go in the last quarter. They had a chance to win the game with 28 seconds left on the clock. They blew 3 opportunities in those last 28 seconds. Jeremy Kendall had a fantastic game. Had 37 points in that game, including the go-ahead basket with about 30-odd seconds left. And that split the deal there. 78-77 win. And then Dime Valley had a very similar situation at Sandringham. They got behind early in that game as well. Not by that much, but they actually won it at the free throw line on the buzzer, and they won that game against the Sabres 91-90. So fantastic win for Dime Valley on a 1-point result either way. So, and to be honest, Dime Valley was actually the surprise team because I actually thought that they probably would have. I actually thought they were going to lose both games. So fantastic result for the boys, especially getting that close.
Yeah, it really was. Again, being new into the competition, not really knowing how they were going to go. Although to be fair, in the pre-seasons, Siebel and Big V teams have often played against each other, and the games have been very, very close. So I think the coaching staff would have been very confident that they were going to be able to match it. But to come away with wins in the first round is just brilliant for the club, particularly if they're going to launch. It is a big high risk jumping out of the state league competition and jumping into Siebel.
And especially with the 1-point result, so fantastic win for them. Mount Gambier shocked me though, because I thought Mount Gambier were going to beat Geelong in Geelong, but I was proven wrong.
Yeah, and again, such a good team over the last couple of years. They've been in finals. They've won championships. Geelong, no slouch. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Nate Herbert still going around. I remember from years ago, sort of following him as when he was playing in NBL. He's still showing he's got it all. Marlo Hicks, great player and great person too. So I'm very, very pleased that they're coming up and doing well. But, to see that Graham Hill and his team went down, that was a bit of a shock. In fact, it's not just in Siebel, but also in certainly Big V, which we'll talk about later. Some of the results have been really topsy-turvy, things that you didn't expect to see. And this was one of them.
And the other one was actually Northwest Tassie. Got over the line against Kilsyth down there in Tassie. 72-70, great win for the Tall Timbers against the Cobras, who actually backed it up from the night before, which they beat the Chargers. So Kilsyth got shocked in the men's.
Yeah, absolutely. So these are the sort of results that you're really not expecting to see at this time, because normally all the pundits will go based on the form from the previous year and their knowledge of the imports that are coming in. So you'd expect to see, a stronger Kilsyth coming away with both wins down in Tassie, but they didn't.
Correct. And the ladder stands Nuttawatting, Geelong, Albury, Ballarat, Northwest, and Tassie, that is, and Bendigo all in the top 6. So again, very similar to what the women's were. All of them are in the country or interstate. Nuttawatting is the only metro team who's actually doing the metro teams a bit prouder at the top of the Siebel ladder. Round 2 match of the rounds. I know it's absolutely early at the moment there, but it's going to be Nuttawatting Diamond Valley is going to be an intriguing matchup. I think it's going to be played just up the road at East Burwood on Saturday nights at 5:30. And not just the men's, but the women's as well, playing there at the Graveyard. So I think that's going to be a really intriguing matchup. Launceston and Hobart down there in Tassie as well. The game's at Launceston.
Yeah, local derby. That's going to be on for young and old, that one.
That's right. So I think they're the two real key matchups for both the men's and the women's for Siebel. Let's move on to Big V.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great weekend's competition coming back off the Easter break. A lot of teams refreshed and so on. But as I said, some really unusual results. So the unexpected results all over the place. And my general comment before we start going through the results and have a look at the ladders, don't take any notice of the ladders at the moment.
This is all, yeah.
Apart from about 1 or 2 grades, I think you can't really put anything on there. There's the way the fixtures have worked at the moment, Will, is that there are some teams that may have played 5 or 6 games, and others that have just played 3. So 1 versus 9 could in 1 versus. It's a real strange one. But tell us all about it.
Yeah, so we'll start off with Youth League 2 women as we always do. Only 2 games that came down to 2 points at the end of the round. Whittlesea and Frankston, with Whittlesea only winning by 2 points. Pakenham and Western Port came down to those 2 points as well. The surprise for me was in Youth League 2 women was the Casey Cavaliers and Werribee. Werribee not playing well, coming down at all. Actually, I get to see them next weekend, which we'll talk a bit about that a little bit later on. But the Casey Cavs 66, Werribee 51. That's a surprise game for me, in my opinion, because I thought Werribee coming off the win just before Easter, probably I thought having that experience in Youth League 1 women, they probably could have gone a little better. So that surprised me.
Yeah. Again, this was symptomatic of all the games that teams that you thought were going to walk it in really struggled, and some that you thought were on the ropes absolutely came out and blitzed. There are some unusual ones, but I wasn't too surprised about that. But, there are some other upsets that I was much more intrigued by.
Correct. We'll talk about those in just a moment. That was the only ones that surprised me, really. Ladder, Pakenham, Sun and Penn, and Casey all on top 3-0. Blackburn and 2-1. That's the top 4 at the moment. And, it's going to be hard to beat the teams in the southeast at the moment in Youth League 2 women. Pakenham, Sun and Penn, Casey, in my opinion, are going to be the top 3 come the end of the season, unless something disastrous go wrong to those 3 teams.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think but again, the only rider I'm going to put on that is at the moment it's round 3. Anything can happen. I think we need to get into about round 5 or 6, another 2 weeks. Another 2 or 3 weeks, and I think we'll start to see some of the divisions shake themselves out there.
Match of the round, some beauties in Youth League 2 women, Andrew. Friday night, 7:30, Blackburn and Southern Peninsula. It's 4v3 on the ladder. But the match of the round really is actually Casey and Pakenham. They're at Casey Stadium on Sunday. Sorry, the Blackburn and Southern Peninsula on Saturday. The Sunday game is Casey and Pakenham. That will probably decide, first of all, who's going to lose that first game and fall a little bit behind.
Yeah, and of course it's the local derby, isn't it? So the next door neighbour towns or suburbs, whatever you want to call them, at the new stadium, it should be a cracker of a game.
Make sure to get out to that one. It's going to be a beauty on Sunday afternoon. And we've both gone to Casey Stadium before, and it's one of the best things I've been.
Basketball club, and it about now it should have started to bed itself in as well. So it'll be really good going out and having a look at it again. Correct. See how it's started to settle in its surroundings and in its use.
That's right. Youth League 2 men, Collingwood. Of course, I got to see them on Sunday, but on Saturday night, they had a fantastic win over the Whittlesea Pacers by 21 points. So, fantastic effort. Whittlesea struggling in Youth League 2 men's, which is very surprising for a team that has dominated Youth League 1 men in the past. Obviously, they're revamping. Wallen, fantastic weekend, didn't they? 2 big wins. Going into the round without a win. They beat Latrobe, which they were probably expected to do, being at home. And then they went to Collingwood on Sunday, which I was out there to broadcast the whole thing. You got there to catch the second half of that game. Wallen just ran rings all around them.
Yeah, Collingwood, certainly, from what I saw, it was very, very tight when I got there, and they just lost their composure. They got up, they looked like they were going to run away with it, and they just, to Wallen's credit, they just kept coming and kept coming. Their transition basketball was excellent. No sooner had Collingwood scored a basket that the ball was down the other end, and the Collingwood boys looked like they were struggling from their double.
Oh, exactly.
But it wasn't how I've seen that group play.
Absolutely. And, of course, the injury worries continue for the All-Stars. They had one of the players go down in that second quarter in that game. So, and I believe they've been ravaged with a couple of injuries for the All-Stars, for Matty Hendricks and the crew. Yeah,
they've had a few, but there's a lot of kids there. It's now for the bench players. When there are those injuries to the starters, the bench players have got to stand up, and unfortunately they didn't enough on that particular game. But very entertaining game, and Wallen deserved the win.
And Maccabi, they continue to chug along at the moment. Maccabi, they got a great win down at the Coliseum at Pakenham, 83-81, and tell you what, Maccabi looking pretty good. I know it's early, and I think they've got a lot of games, especially in the next couple weeks and months ahead. But at the moment, they just got to keep winning. Simple as that, because they're going to start running out of games as the season goes on.
Yeah, and now Westover's got them really motivated. He's got them working really, really well, and that's typical of that squad. I've watched them with interest over the last couple of years, and they're really, really doing a nice job. So if they can just hang in there, because they are going to go and spend some time overseas, competing against the Maccabea Games. Their fixture is front loaded, so there's an awful lot of games that they'll play at the beginning of the season. So they've got to get the wins on the board, because otherwise the other teams will have caught up, and it'll be far too difficult for them.
Correct, and a fantastic win there either way. Ladder at the moment, Melton are on top at 4-1. Maccabi are 3-1 at the moment. Keys will also with 3-1, even though that doesn't look right when they're playing 5 games. Anyway, we'll continue on. Wallen are 2-3, Chelsea 2-2, Mornington 2-2, 2-1 to Craigburn and the All Stars. As you said, the ladder doesn't actually reflect on how the teams are placed at the moment. And
there are also a couple of results haven't got through, so the ladders in a couple of the grades are actually not showing the right result. So you're absolutely right. If it's looking wrong, it's probably wrong.
That's right. Well, the match of the round in Youth League 2 men, it's actually going to be Maccabi Wallen, because Wallen's coming off 2 fantastic wins against Latrobe and the Collingwood All Stars, and Maccabi at home, they knocked over a very good Pakenham team. So, in my opinion, that's a 2 p.m. game at the Balloch Stadium down there at Caulfield, I think it is. That's going to be a fantastic game to watch at 2 p.m.
Yeah, it should be. It should be a really good game. I'll be watching on live stats because I've got other things we're doing. Well, actually, if we can get any kind of connectivity, I'll be watching on live stats. We'll be up in the hills, and there's not a lot of connectivity up and around the Sherbrooke area, but we'll be up there.
That's right. Youth League 1 women's action. Couple of interesting results that really stands out to me there. Campbell had 2 fantastic wins on the weekend. One against McKinnon, a big win over against Craigieburn, who previously were undefeated at that point. So that was a huge win and Campbell scored 99 points compared to what they did the night before. They only made 48 and managed to get over the line against the Cougars. So fantastic weekend for Campbell. Kilo and Sunbury just keeps rolling on. Eltham struggling.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for a couple of the teams there, and this is where I was sort of talking about the upsets. You don't expect Eltham to be struggling like that. Corio Bay's program is going from strength to strength. They are doing a great job with the juniors, and obviously the under 23s as well, because they're strong in both the boys and the girls.
That's right.
Which is really good. McKinnon and Camberwell, yeah. Look, that doesn't surprise me that they were so close. That's where I would have picked them along the way.
That's right.
And the other program that's also starting to pay dividends is Sunbury.
That's right.
So it's looking quite good for them.
That's right, and Geelong, another loss against a very top contender there. And Keilor doing a fantastic job. And I think you can see now that Keilor really wants to, and so Sunbury as well, but those two in particular are wanting to follow the lead of their senior programs. Obviously, both their programs at the moment are in state champ in both in the women's. So, and they want their youth league to be in the VYC, which is a fantastic showing where the association, especially like Sunbury and Keilor, being, I guess, I wouldn't say small, but I guess like medium size. It's not one of the bigger clubs, but doing really well and trying to develop their program out there in the western suburbs.
Yeah, and they're doing a really good job. Again, some really good support there from their local council. They've upgraded their stadium. It's a good program out there as well, and certainly we've had some hands-on experience of coming up we played some practice games against them certainly last season, and it doesn't surprise me to see them they're doing so well at all.
Well, the ladder as it stands: Keilor on top 4-0, Crow Bay 3-1, Sunbury 3-0, Camwell and Geelong are both 2-2 at the moment. Match of the round matches this weekend. Well, you can't really go past that 6:30 game at Keilor, Andrew. Keilor and Sunbury stands above the rest, and of course there's a bit of a local derby down at Geelong and Crow Bay.
Yeah, and that to me is the fun one. I love the derbies. It's always good fun. Certainly with Waverley, it's great to see them up against Ringwood, and that's probably the local derby for Waverley.
That's right.
This is going to be a good game. I think that one between Crow Bay and, as I said, Crow Bay starting to do really well. So these guys know each other. They often play in the domestic competitions against each other. It'll be a fun game.
That's right. So be interested to see how those results go. Youth League One men, a couple of results on the weekend. Crow Bay had two shockers on the weekend. In other results, Geelong had a loss, and Waverley keep on rolling. And Bendigo unfortunately went to the Falcons' Nest and went home up the Calder Freeway with a 39-point loss.
Yeah, they did, and the game tape is up on YouTube, so you can go and watch that game. It was I was trying to watch it on the live stream, just sort of dip into it, makes it and see how it went, and it just finished so quickly. And I was talking to the guys afterwards who ran the game. And they were saying no, there was no stoppages. It just Waverley was so dominant that they didn't stop there. So without going and having a look at the game, what more can you say except that it's 40 points?
That's right. And I guess the boys really do mean business, knowing that look, they've gone down the Youth League One men, and I think now they think, right, how are we going to get back up to VYC? So. And this is a really good start for them.
Yeah, it is, and certainly that would be the goal, is to be back in there as well. So again, Ballarat doing well over the Dragons, and Werribee getting up over the Super Cats. It's going to be an interesting time.
It is. Ladder. Only 4 teams are now undefeated at the moment, and that is Werribee, as you said, 5-0, Sunbury 4-0, Waverley and Casey are 3-0. And they've got a 2-game gap over Warrandyte and Ballarat, who are both 2-2 at the moment. So already, Andrew, we've seen, I know it's early, but we're already seeing 4 clear-cut leaders.
Yeah. Again, don't read into that too much. Wait for another 2 or 3 rounds.
Match of the round matches there. It's Sunbury and Casey at 6 at the Hangers, in my opinion. There, and of course I have to include Geelong and Crow Bay again at 2 o'clock at the arena there, and Waverley, of course, that would be on Live Sport Australia 8:30. It is Waverley and Warrandyte.
Yeah, and so that'll be a double. There are 2 games. It's a big weekend. There's a double header on Saturday night, double header on Sunday afternoon. So a lot of basketball coming out of the Falcons' Nest, and all of that will be live streamed on Live Sport Australia.
Correct. So we're looking forward to that. More VYC women's action. Some big results on the weekend that surprised me. Diamond Valley pulled off a win, a surprising win, and also a surprising loss at the same time, because they lost to Altona in Altona by 2 points, and then they pulled off a surprising win at home to Bendigo by 9 points. Dandenong keeps slumping at the moment. They're both lost by a combined margin now of over 15 points now, with 2 losses against Ringwood and Ballarat. I was out at Hume City Warrandyte. Look, Hume City was so dominant. They could have probably won by a lot more than 25. At one stage, it got to 30. And then, they finally, decided to put the shot on. So Could have been a lot more, but nevertheless. So, and Nunawading put off a fantastic win over Knox after they beat Ballarat.
Yeah, so not surprising that the Tigers got up over the Falcons. Big shock though about the way in which, and it's not just this game. It's the way that the Dandenong Rangers program has imploded, and going back to Siebel as well. Yes, I know that I'm missing some of their players who are away on Opal's duty. But again, Dandenong Rangers senior team also not looking particularly good as well in the Siebel. So maybe it's something that's going around the club at the moment, don't know. But Ballarat, nice and steady. They're a good mid-range, mid-table team. So it doesn't surprise me that they're there. The one I reckon that is to look for is Altona. I think Altona is definitely going to be there at the finals.
Yeah. So that result against Doan Valley didn't surprise you?
No, it did not at all. Randy Shanklin's got them playing really well, and they're missing as I think you mentioned it last week. They're missing a few of their gun players that have moved either up in age group or across to other clubs.
Correct.
But I think he's going to have them up and about. So I don't think they'll be at the top of the ladder. I think that's going to be, probably Sandringham and Nunawading. I think they're probably going to be the top along the way. If I had to pick a fourth, it'd probably be Hume City at the moment, maybe. I think again they're looking reasonably strong in their junior squad, but it could be anyone. It could be anyone. I'm going to say it again, and I'll say it quite a few times. It's way too early at the moment.
That's right. Watson Conference. It's really interesting, the Watson Conference. Just reading this ladder at the moment. Kilsyth 4-2, Bendigo 3-1, Ringwood also 3-1. Melbourne are the only undefeated team in that conference. They are 3-0. But looking down the bottom, Dandenong and Warrandyte. Dandenong is 0-5. Warrandyte are 0-4. That's a real concern, in my opinion.
Yeah. Look, I don't know what's going on with Warrandyte. It's
Obviously, we'll talk a bit more about their scene in just a moment, but yeah, the year 3.
Yeah. And again, I think this is probably the same thing that's happening with Dandenong. I think it's just an overall club thing that's going on at the moment. There's just a lack of confidence in what's going on. So, can they get it together? Well, yeah, of course they can, but they need to do it very quickly. They need to be there pretty soon.
Especially there's relegations as well. So, Terrell Conference is actually a lot closer at the moment. Diamond Valley are 4-1 on top. Nunawading, Altona, Knox are 3-1. Sandringham are the only team under 3-0. But talking about big clubs as well, Bulleen, they're 0-5. They're down the bottom, and already they look like they're not even going to get close to making finals.
Yeah,
conference.
Yeah, so that really is a bit of a surprise there as well, isn't it? So to see to have a look at the who's at the bottom of the ladder. Unfortunately, we can't do a combined ladder here, the way it comes out. But to see Bulleen down the bottom, and in the Watson Conference, Dandenong and
Warrandyte, but Dandenong's a bigger club though.
And Warrandyte, yeah, that's a real shock along the way. Hey, did I say Hume to be in the top?
Yeah, you did.
I missed Ringwood, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
That's who I was.
Rob's not going to like that.
Yeah, no, I apologize. Yeah, look, that's who I was. I should have said should round out the 4. I think Hume will be. They have had a couple of losses already, but I think they're a lot better than they have shown in the first couple of games, and that showed against that last game against DV.
Match of the round matches in Modern VYC women. 2 games in particular. They're both involved in Altona. Altona's got Sandringham at home at 3 p.m. at the Swamp. And then they got to go to Oakley and play the Melbourne Tigers. two big games. I think they're the two match of the rounds.
Yeah, I'd be happy to call it that as well.
The question is, can Altona get out with at least a split in the women?
Yeah, I think I can come out with both games.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think they can. I think they can. Will they? Don't know, but they can do it.
That's right. Morton VYC men, Kilsyth had to scare, didn't they, against the Sabres? They only snuck over line by 3 points. Blackburn upset Bulleen by 7 points on the weekend. Ringwood had a shocker against the Magic by 10. Eltham lost badly. Well, not badly, but they lost anyway by 9. Altona in the men's did very well. Tigers lost to the Thunder by 15 points. And also in other games as well. Eltham bounced back against the Cobras. So huge upsets games. And Sherbrooke beat Dime Valley.
Yeah, and the one, yeah, absolutely. The one that concerns me is Ringwood. They came in that very first round, and they absolutely blitzed. They looked like they were going to be unbeatable, and they have simply dropped the ball. So I don't know what's going on. I think that's 3 losses in a row for them.
Correct. Yes. 3 losses in a row.
So it's that's going to make it difficult for them. Not irretrievable, but difficult. Tigers. Tigers 1-3.
That's right, and they had a big loss to Kilo at home.
Yep. So now that was a cross-conference game as well.
Correct, but still, Melbourne should be winning those games. No disrespect to Kilo, they've done a fantastic job. But Melbourne really should be winning those games.
That's the first game that Kilo's won.
Yes, they have. So fantastic to them. Unfortunately, they did lose the night before. Kilsyth, big shocker, didn't they? They after a great close win against Sandringham, they went out to they went back home at the Snake Pit and put up a shocker. Yeah.
And again, I think this is match fitness. Having to run 2 games in the weekend, it is tough, and I think we've seen that in some of the rounds. That and we talked about it with the Collingwood boys a little bit earlier. But I think this is something which is going to be a pattern for a number of clubs until the kids learn how to manage their time and their fitness across the 2 games. And maybe it's a bit of a warning to the coaches as well. They've got to make certain that they are sharing the minutes, particularly in that first game of the weekend.
That's right. So let's have a look at the ladder in the Terrell Conference. It's Danong on top 4-1, Knox at 3-2, Eltham 3-1, McKinnon also 3-1, Ringwood outside, as we mentioned, they've lost their last 3, 2-3, Sherbrooke at 2-3, and Nunawading at 2-1. But of course, don't read Nunawading 7th place as their dead bottom. They're actually playing a little bit less games there, and Melbourne, as we mentioned, struggling 1-3.
Yeah.
In the Watson, on the other hand, this one's almost pretty much, not quite over, but Hawthorn and Kilsyth are on top 4-1. And then this is where the discrepancy really starts, doesn't it? Blackburn are 1-4, Dime Valley 1-3, with Keilor, Altona, and then Bulleen and Sandringham are both 1-2. But Bulleen and Sandringham could be technically 2-3 on the ladder. 3-4 on the ladder.
Yeah, so I mean that's the thing. 3 down to 8 have all won 1 game. And it's again the way the fixture is working, and it's throwing up some anomalies at this stage, which we're going to see when we talk about the next division.
Correct. Match of the round for me is the good old rivals in the northeast. Andrew, Dime Valley and Eltham, 8 p.m. on Saturday night.
Yeah, that should be a really good round. And again, I love these crosstown rivalries. They're sort of they are a real joy because you get a great crowd. I mean, that's the thing. People will turn up on these things when they've got to travel all the way across the CBD. From one side of Melbourne to another. Perhaps they'll vote with their feet and not quite come down as much, but
It's like 5 minutes down the road.
When it's 5 minutes down the road, they all pack out the stadium.
That's right.
And they are noisy. So.
And the other one's not St Kilsyth. I've almost forgot about them. They're always at the same time at 8 p.m.
Yep.
So fantastic games, and Ringland Sherbrooke reasonably close, but it's close enough. There on Sunday. D2 women. I'm going to go to now, and a couple of interesting results on the weekend. Melton, fantastic win over Mornington. I saw the game out at Collingwood. Fantastic. Look, in my opinion, that game and the way that Collingwood played was the best team play I've seen, considering the circumstances surrounding that game, with so many fouls being called in that game. I think that's the best team game I've seen this year. Yeah, well, certainly,
I have to say, okay, I have an involvement in one of those two teams, and from the bench, we were really concerned with the number of fouls. Both teams did not adjust to the way the games were left, and to be fair, the reffing was pretty good. It wasn't. You couldn't say that the refs caused the upsets or whatever, but both teams have got to learn to play the refs a little bit better than they actually did. But yes, we were very, very pleased. We've been working very hard on getting everybody on the team involved and doing things. Whilst they may not necessarily be the ones that end up scoring everything, we want to get everyone contributing, and that's exactly what happened. So it was very pleasing.
It was. Jay Perowski had a fantastic game, in my opinion. She had 17 points coming off the bench. Jada Bow got into foul problem, but she still managed to get 29, 19, and 9.
Yeah, if she perhaps hadn't picked up that fourth foul, which of course was in the third quarter, she was, and she'd been able to stay on for maybe 1 or 2 minutes, then the triple double is probably a reality there as well. Some absolutely stunning play between her and Helen Roden.
It was just amazing how they did it, and how the vision where they found their players and around the floor and where they had to be on the floor was just astounding just to watch.
Yeah, and it's great. And Helen has been fantastic for that group of kids as well, because it is a very young squad. It's a youth league squad with 2 or 3 slightly older girls on the roster. So for a player of Helen's experience to come in, and she contributes a lot, she gives a lot of direction and support to the guys as well. So and they are really learning lots from her. So it's been fantastic. Of course, she's coming back from injury, so but a great effort. So a lot of time for Helen.
So any other surprise results? Being obviously Division 2 women, Wallen nothing more to say than a 59-point result, really.
Well, no, it's not too surprising. It's pretty much panning out as I thought. Craigieburn, I think I said to you that Craigieburn will be solid all the way through, and they're proving that. They're sitting on top of the ladder at the moment. The Black Angels are, after we gave them a bit of a shock in the first game, which is always nice to do. They've regrouped and they're starting to find ways to play together. Again, it's such in Grant Wallace. Coburg, Mornington and Sherbrooke were going to struggle. They were always going to struggle, and it looks like that's what's happening. We'll know more about them again in the next couple of weeks as they face off against a few of the other teams as well. Blackburn shook off a really bad first round, and they've had 2 good wins. Yeah. The pleasing thing is to see how well Melton is doing coming into the competition for the first time. It is hard. It is hard coming into the competition in your first season and doing well, and you can see that with the Suns, that they're struggling as well.
That's right. Well, the ladder as it stands.
Well, this is where we have to say that the ladder is totally wrong, because what it doesn't include the results for Collingwood versus Northeast. So,
Yes, and we were out of that game.
Yeah. So if you look at it, go through the ladder now, and then we'll talk about it.
Okay, so Craigburn on top 3-0. They are the only team undefeated at this stage. Blackburn, Melton, and Wallen, and the Bushies, and the Black Angels. Obviously, we'll talk a bit about the Bushies one in a minute. They're 2-1. Coburg are 1-4. Mornington 1-3. Collingwood are 1-1. Sherbrooke none and 3.
Right. So if we actually look at it, what you can see there is that Craigieburn is out on top on their own. That is without doubt. That's going to be right. 3-0. Then we have a whole heap of teams, all the way down to 8 that are on 3 and 7. I should say 7 that are on 2 and 1.
6.
2 and 1.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah.
2 and 1.
Yeah.
Now, Collingwood at the moment is listed as 9th, but they will go up. And if you look at the percentages after this game, because they will probably slot in, I suspect they'll either knock off second spot or third spot. I think that's where they'll drop into.
Yes, should be, yes.
So they'll drop in there. Northeast Bushrangers will push down one. So they'll make up the 6th spot, and Melbourne down into 7th. That's where I expect to see it. So
no, Bushies will swap with Melbourne Uni.
Yes. So, depends on percentages there.
Well, Bushies
Yeah,
will be
you could
2 and 2, and Melbourne Uni be 2 and 1.
Yeah, it's the. Yeah, you're probably right. They will probably drop down to 7th. So it's probably easier looking at the bottom of the ladder, and that's Sherbrooke, Mornington, and Coburg, and they're going to be the ones at the bottom. With of course, and of course, it's still showing Keysborough, although Keysborough has not even entered a team.
That's right.
So it's a weird ladder.
It is.
It's a weird ladder.
Match of the round well, actually, there's not many games this weekend. I just realised there's only 3 games. I think it'd be Wallen Blackburn. My standout.
Yeah, I
3
think
games.
I think so. It'll be interesting to see how Collingwood goes up against the Suns.
Surely get the win.
I would be confident in getting the win, but I'd still like to see how they go. We would hope that they play pretty well. But yes, I think Wallen and Blackburn's going to be a very tight game. It's going to be up at Wallen, and we'll see how it goes there. Just before we leave Div 2 Women, we did live stream the Collingwood game, and a big shout out to anybody who watched, but we picked up with advertising it only about 2 or 3 minutes before the stream started, just under 200 viewers online. Fantastic. Which was pretty good. So we will try and live stream all the Collingwood girls games, assuming we can get connectivity.
You probably won't get it in Belgrave Heights next week, just letting you know. Anyway, nevertheless, let's have a look at D2 men on that one. Maccabi keeps slumping at the moment. They've lost another game. Wallen, fantastic winner against the Coburg Giants on the road. In other big games on the weekend, Southern Penn, fantastic win over the Thoroughbreds. And a very close game, a very late game on Sunday. Pakenham just snuck over the line against the Suns.
Yeah, they did. That was again a sort of an interesting one. See how they went. I've got the wrong screen up, so I'm looking at blanks at the moment.
Wallen defeat Coburg by 4, which they kept rolling on. The Panthers in D2 men. Yeah,
disappointed with the Bushies. I thought they were going to be a lot stronger than this, but that just tells you that Pakenham is they are really pushing to get up out of that division. They want to be playing Div 1, so you can see that they're going there.
Any other results surprising?
No. I think Mildura is going to be a good benchmark team as well.
Tough to win up there.
Yeah.
So the ladder.
Although think about that for when we come up a bit later and we talk about the D1 women.
Oh, that's right. Because yes, there was a bit of a interesting result in D1 women. So the ladder at the moment in D2 men. Now this is all incorrect as well. Few about the balance of games. Pakenham on top and Coburg on 3 and 2. Majura on 3 and 1. Then Wallen, Camberwell and Southern Penn. Figure this out. They're both undefeated. They've both won 3 games. They're both in 4th, 5th and 6th. They're 3 and 0. Sherbrooke are 2 and 3. Craigburn 2 and 2 at the moment.
Yeah, so
you
hard to know.
You can't read for the fact that Wallen, Camberwell and Southern Penn, who hasn't lost a game, are sitting 4th, 5th and 6th.
Yeah.
So
hard to know. Hard to know what's going to happen here. So.
Oh, exactly right. The match of the round: Wallen and Southern Penn. One of these two teams are going to lose a game come the end of the round.
Yeah. So again, this is what I was saying to you is that really we need to wait for a couple of weeks before we can be comfortable. I think with the ladders. So I mean, I know the guys on Big VTV are already starting to try and put in some predictions as to who's going to go, but I don't know that you can because it is. Well, it's not even that. It's just been in these divisions. It has been competitive across the division. It's really, really hard to know definitively who's going to go. Talking about, let's have a look at the D1 women.
Yes, and so we go. Now, we talked about Majura a moment ago. Whittlesea went up there. Never won up there in Majura, mind you. And they got the win. 83-73. Fantastic win for the Pacers. In a game they weren't expected to win up there at the Hot House. As I mentioned before in the men's, it's very tough to win up there unless you're Latrobe City and you bring up 5 players up to Majura. The only team to do so and manage to succeed. So fantastic win for the Pacers. In other games, Warrnambool had they had a bit of a wake-up call, didn't they? They went up the Princess Freeway. They beat Werribee just by 9, and then they went back to us home towards Geelong, lost by 6 to the Supercats. I think that's actually Geelong's first win of the season. And then Casey knocked over the Devils as well. And as we mentioned in the Youth League women before, Warrandyte, fortunately struggling, continues.
Yeah, certainly do. So, again, the big one for me, the one that stood out there was Mildura going down to the Pacers. I did not see that coming.
No, I didn't either. And I guess it shows. It actually goes to show, Whittlesea actually stormed home with a 28-20 last quarter to get the job done. They did fantastically well in that game. Holly Bowman had 19 points for the Pacers, and Vanessa Powell still got it. Still has it, 29 points, but no one else better. The nearest was 13.
Yeah. So that's, you need to spread it around. You really do need to spread it around. So it was a good thing that was only the one game for them along the way. And I've been saying that people have got to learn to manage the double headers across the weekend better. And Warrnambool is a good example of that. They were good win over Werribee, and then just a tough loss to Geelong. And I guarantee that was just simply they were just exhausted.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many players they actually. I should just look at it. I got the wrong one, but I'll just have a quick look. But my betting is that they had a fairly small squad that they took. 2, 4, 6,
10.
8, 10. They just took the 10. And again, apart from Amy Wormold and Alana Strom, really not a lot of production out of them there. I mean, they're coming up against some really good players for Geelong as well. Tess Feary still playing,
still got it
extremely well along the way, and Shadbolt, Caitlin Shadbolt and Varley Georgia Varley. I mean, they're great players. They're great players. Brooke McKay still playing for them as well, still picking up good minutes, and she's they're a very, very experienced squad, the Geelong girls. But Warrnambool still not. I think I said to you a couple of weeks ago that they were going to be competitive in this grade, and they certainly are.
They are, I think they would have been happy with a split.
Absolutely. Their ladder?
Yes, the ladder at the moment. Majura 3-1, Chelsea 3-1. Of course, this is also incorrect for the fact that Casey and Campbell, are sitting 3-4, are both undefeated with 3-0 at the moment. 2-2 with 2-1, and everyone else really fallen badly at the moment. But I think that Geelong will do better than 1 and 2 where they are on the ladder. So expect them to rise up the ladder. And the other one, really, I think Latrobe probably could have gone better than 0 and 2.
Yeah. The worry for me is Warrandyte.
Yeah.
There was a cryptic comment in the Big V previews for this particular game, and they were talking about a new player joining their ranks. Well, it was Miyamoto, who's left Collingwood and gone across.
So, yeah, I saw that in the stats.
And so she played. She scored 10 points. Played about 14 minutes or something like that, I think it was. She will be a good scoring option for them. But the question in the preview was, is the one player going to make a difference? I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. She will give them a bit more scoring power, but it's the way they're playing at the moment, they're just struggling. They're just struggling. They've given away 104 points in 3 games.
That's right. And you only managed average 40 odd points a game, 46 points a game. So
yeah,
can't win with those numbers.
No. So they're losing by an average of 20, 22, something like that.
And that's come down from state champs. So.
Yeah. So not a great weekend for Warrandyte.
No, hopefully they'll come back. D1 women match of the round. On the other hand, some beauties this weekend in particular. Firstly, Warrnambool and Chelsea. Warrnambool was the D2 women's champions. They come up. Chelsea were the champions of D1 women. They play each other at Warrnambool. Tough place to play. Latrobe, they're going to play a tough game against the Supercats at home. And the other game on the weekend that makes it interesting is Majura and Werribee.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. So,
I wonder if Werribee has learnt from Whittlesea how to play up in Majura.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. They'll be watching the tapes, assuming the tapes are up and so on. I haven't checked today, but there weren't too many up earlier. Well, actually, I checked this morning. There weren't a tremendous amount up. I think there was basically only 1 or 2.
So, yes, we'll find that out soon. D1 men, Friday night, Collingwood, fantastic win. They keep rolling on, don't they, the boys, the men's at the moment? 90-84, and I tell you what, Andrew, Collingwood definitely are suited to Div 1.
Yeah, they certainly are. They're doing a really good job there. Manny Hendricks is playing extremely well. He's got the going. He's and Garney with the brains trust he has on the coaching bench. They're doing extremely well. So, yeah.
Other games on the weekend, Keysborough knocked over Chelsea by 8 points. Did you see that one coming?
No, that was a bit of surprise. But it's really interesting though. Just those 3 teams. You look at those 3 teams and look at the ex-Waverley players that are in there. Yeah.
Yes,
they're floating around.
Mention that. Yes,
they're floating around.
You got there before me.
They're floating around. So hey, gee, wish we'd been able to keep them all at Waverley.
That's right. But look, fantastic win for Keysborough. That's a great result for them. Warrnambool beat Geelong. Geelong split their weekend 1-1, and Keysborough obviously continued that great form against Western Port, who did a fantastic job themselves, actually, the night before at Latrobe.
Yeah, they certainly did. Certainly did.
So the ladder. Shepparton are the... Actually, no, there's about 3 teams currently at the moment in down men, Andrew. That's Shepparton at 5-0. Chelsea are 4-1. Then the other undefeated team, Keysborough, are 4-0. Collingwood are currently 3-1. But then Warrandyte are the other undefeated team at 3-0. Bulleen and Western Port 2-2, and Warrnambool 2-1 at the moment. Any surprises there on the ladder? Bulleen?
No, but it's going to be a logjam. It's, okay, at the moment Shepparton's looking the goods. They're coming out. I haven't looked at them too closely.
They've always been honest contenders, though, haven't they?
Pretty much. But and of course we saw some of the guys playing in the CBL as well. But I think anybody down to probably about down to 9 or 10, they have the chance. And the Black Angels, Melbourne University, even with their star import, were not able to get across the line. So it's going to be a tough season for them.
That's right. They lost to Warrandyte 94-90 on the weekend. Match of the round. Matches on the weekend. The Gators are at home to Cougars. Shepparton and Keys talking about. Warrnambool and Chelsea. Fantastic matchup, those two. They always have some fantastic rivals and games between those two. Warrnambool and Chelsea. Latrobe and Geelong, the two country teams, go head-to-head there as well. Big test for Collingwood. They will go to that madhouse in the Big V called the Ark at Warrnambool.
Yeah. They didn't go down there last year. That's their first trip down to Warrnambool. They'll have a great trip down there. It's a really nice place to go and play, and the hospitality is fantastic. So they will have a great trip down there, but it's going to be hard work. It's really going to be hard work for them.
Well, they'll be hoping that Chelsea does a bit. Actually, Collingwood and Chelsea are going to go down to Warrnambool at the same time, I think, because they both play on back-to-back weekends. So Warrnambool's got some tough ask as well, being at home. So no easy wins there.
But again, they have the advantage of being at home. They know the environment, and maybe somebody can find my ball that went missing.
Did you lose it down there? Did you?
Yeah. Somehow during the warm up, one of our balls walked. So, but if anyone's found our lost ball, please give it to the Collingwood guys and they can bring it back.
Yes, that's right. State champ women, topsy-turvy round, wasn't it? For them, or was it unpredictable? That's going to be the case here. Most of them went to plan. Fantastic win by the Falcons. Great win. 71-68 win over Knights was the fantastic game it was. I was out at Hume City Eltham. No Alice Koenig. Eltham did a gallant effort. Fantastic effort. But, especially when you lose a player like Alice Koenig, who's over in the Com Games for the Opals, and add those couple of points, who knows? That game could have easily gone the other way.
Yeah, look, this is one of those leagues that's going to be too tough to call. Sunbury came back after what was a pretty disappointing loss last weekend against the Falcons, and they absolutely smashed the Boomers. The Boomers are in trouble. I'm happy to say that right now. Eltham, I think, will, again, they need to try and do as much as they can without Alice, if they're going to make finals. But I don't think they will. To me, it's looking like Southern Penn, Sunbury, Ringwood, Waverley, and either Knox or Hume City. I think they're going to be the contenders for the end of the year.
You're right. Hume City has two. I saw the two imports at Hume City. Of course, Lisa Murphy and Kelly Hardiman. Both of them had a fantastic game. Lisa Murphy actually that week arrived into and didn't miss a beat, really. But on the other hand, she haven't had an off season yet. because she just arrived from playing at Denmark, and really, to be honest, didn't miss a beat at all. So
Yeah, so it'll catch up. It'll catch up. I mean, we saw that with Jada, you know, it's taken her perhaps a month to acclimatise, and suddenly now she's starting to hit her straps. And I think you'll find that with any of the other imports that have just come into the league as well. It's really, really tough for them to come straight into the league and adjust the reffing, adjust to their teammates, and so on. So they play one game, and then I probably have one or two poor games after that, or subpar games, not necessarily a poor game, before they start to impose themselves again.
correct. So the ladder, as it stands, as you mentioned, I think you're right in state champ. In regards to the contenders for the championship, obviously it's way too early to call at the moment. Ringwood, Waverley, Hume City, Sun and Penn, Knox, Sunbury, all with one loss on the board. Ringwood on top, obviously, with playing the one extra game at the moment. And then behind those pack is Eltham and Eltham 1 and 2, so is Keilor 1 and 2, McKinnon 1 and 2, and we could almost really rule Bulleen out. But remember, Bulleen came from a similar situation last year when they brought in Sarah Booth into the team and really got them back into the finals and ended up going all the way to win it. But I think this year's going to be a lot tougher for the Boomers to make it.
Yeah, I don't see them being able to do it 2 years in a row. They have to get some wins on the board, and they have to do it fairly quickly. You know, now that the state champ league has become a relegation zone, it traditionally hasn't been. There've been other factors, and so the league and the clubs have decided to relegate and promote.
You know, yeah, it's a great
Which,
choice.
yeah, I think that's really good. I think it's given all the D2 teams that opportunity to stake a claim, D1 teams, to stake a claim for playing in that league, and I think that's great. And it's also expanded too. So where it was a couple of seasons ago, it was perhaps 8 teams.
8 teams, yeah.
What have we got now? 12. So
12.
I think that's really good.
And you know, and it's shown. Like Sun Pen came from Div 1.
Yep.
Keilor's come up from Div 1. Sunbury's come up from Div 1. They've proven it can be done.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they really have.
So be interested to see how it all unfolds. Match of the round action. McKinnon Waverley, good old rivals there. The Cougars and the Falcons. In other big games, Sunbury and Knox, Keilor and Hume City, and I missed another game on it. And Bulleen is a must win. They play Ringwood. It's a must win. They don't win this, it's done.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that one. In terms of the games, McKinnon Waverley, I think will be tough. McKinnon has not really been looking very convincing at the moment. They've got Ariel Thomas back this week, came back this week, and she played pretty well. But they're not getting the production out of their guards that they normally, and that's, to me, that's a really worrying sign, particularly when they're not even putting the shots up. So Katie Blues are down on form. The two Ionini sisters are down on form. If they can lift, I think it'll be different. But I'll tell you what, Matt Bongetti has got that Waverley squad absolutely on the tear at the moment.
And I think Tegan slotted in really well too into that team.
Yeah, she only played 20 minutes, I think, somewhere around that. Wasn't a huge number of minutes anyway.
It wasn't. Just have a look at
coming off the bench.
26 minutes.
Yeah, but coming off the bench, and that's a promising sign. We saw Mocky do a absolutely fantastic job on the bigs.
That's right.
Jackie Vanderstad's playing really well. So I look Waverley I think is I'm not going to say they're cruising, but they are in a good spot at the moment. And Kelly Bowen is just fantastic. I love the way she plays.
That's right. You mentioned about the problems for McKinnon in the guards position. it was pretty much mainly their bigs. He did most of the scoring.
Yeah.
There, so they need to fix that up.
So the one that really interests me is the home game, Waverley versus Eltham. I think that's of the two Waverley games. I think that's the one that's actually going to be much more revealing. You know, unless McKinnon somehow has been able to address their issues, I think that's going to be the go.
Absolutely. Let's have a look at state champ men to finish it off for Big V side of things. Ringwood, was there a slip up or did McKinnon prove to be the better team on the day? 98-91. There, great win for the Cougars. Blackburn, fantastic win over the Cavs by 13 points. Eltham just did the number on Crow Bay, doubled their score really by 57 points. Waverley had a bit of a slip up against the Raiders on the weekend. Yeah,
not enough production from their import duo.
Now we mentioned this a couple of times about their imports. And I guess now at this time of the year, I know it's early. I think they've played 3 or 4 games already, but surely by now or very soon, if they don't get that production from the imports, normally if I guess knowing this, I
have no inside information. I haven't been talking to the guys there and asking the question, but I'm just at the back of just a little niggle at the back of my mind is. Don't be surprised if there isn't perhaps a change of import, single import perhaps. I don't know that the 2 imports will go, but I wouldn't be surprised if they don't look for a slightly different skill set because what's there at the moment isn't working.
No, absolutely. And they got found out, didn't they, against the Raiders. Crow Bay's result against Eltham? Not surprising.
Except perhaps for the point difference. Maybe that I would have expected them to be another 20 points more. Hutchie's doing a pretty good job of bringing them together, and they will get better.
Oh yeah,
they will get better. But it just shows you they're just a little bit out. But if you look at the Eltham squad, I mean, You got Benny Waldron, you got Bradbury, you got Jace Canavan, Mitch Lee, Chris Cameron. It's a good squad. It's a good squad.
Are they unstoppable?
No, and we'll see that as they get into a few of the squads. No, they're not unstoppable, but I don't know that they've come up against McKinnon yet.
Or Ringwood.
So it'll be interesting to see how they go.
McKinnon and Ringwood, result-wise,
McKinnon's doing really well.
I was actually expecting Ringwood to win that game, but that result sort of surprised me maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
I'll put it this way: I know Ken wouldn't have been happy with that game.
No, so that's the understatement of the year, Will. Kenny, if you're listening, I feel your pain, my man. But no, look, there's a lot to like. There's a lot to like about the McKinnon squad at the moment, and Ivan Platnick still doing his double doubles. So fantastic stuff there as well. Just picking it up every time.
And Blackburn, great win too.
Yep. I'll tell you which did a stat that surprised Adrian. 29 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists.
That's right.
That was a bit of a surprise that he was going to be. When you look at the talent that's on that McKinnon squad in terms of scoring ability.
That's right.
Maybank, Stith, Charge, Becker. Well, Becker only played a minute and Charge only played 2 or 3. But you look at them and you go, well, hey,
That's right. And of course, McKinnon doing all of these winning without their actual head coach, Justin Nelson, who's actually Still over in the States at the moment.
No, is he? He's still over there.
He's still over there. Even
Yeah,
though he's,
okay.
even though on the live stats he says he's the coach, he hasn't been there yet because I know because I've been following Dave Roberts. Of course, big shout out to you. Of course, they've been over in the US, so I know he's there.
Yes, he does. And Dave, the ball men do look good.
So fantastic there for the Cougars there, and Hume City, great win back against the Vikings. The ladder, the Cougars, all by themselves on top, 4-0.
And that's probably the first time that they would have occupied that position since they got into the state champ div.
Because they went up, didn't they? They did the double up,
yeah.
didn't they? They went from Div 2 to state champ, didn't they?
I don't know about Div 2, but I don't think they've been undefeated at any point. They've always had a sort of 50-50 or 60-40 record. But this is a big breakthrough for them. So good stuff to them.
Correct. Ringwood are 3-1, Hume City 2-2, Kilo 2-1, Eltham 2-1. Everyone else is either 1-3 or 1-2.
Keep your eye though on Blackburn. Keep your eye.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, they are the Smoky. Great win over the Cavaliers. I mean, 80. That. You asked me who my upsets were. That was it. That was really the upset there as well. I wasn't so surprised with Knox getting up over the Falcons. Knox is a good squad. They're well coached, and DMAC knows. He knows how the Falcons play and how they're coached. They have a
struggle, don't they?
Yeah,
DMAC and Knox.
So, but to me, it was the Blackburn guys. That was the real surprise there.
Match of the rounds actions there. McKinnon and Waverley.
Yeah, that's going to be a great game.
Say,
yeah, that will be a really, really good game. And I think that's
and then Waverley's got to back it up again.
Yeah,
against Eltham, Notts and McKinnon as well.
And as I said, Waverley, Eltham. So I think, you know, when the girls meet Eltham, it's going to be tough. This is going to be tough as well. This will be a really good one.
Correct. Either way, it could go. Well, Falcons could go either 0-2, 1-1, or 2-0, depending on how they go.
Yeah, I'm betting that they'll split the weekend.
They won't get the Cougars.
I don't know which way it'll go.
Oh yeah, I was going to say Either way, they could have gone either way, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think they'll split, but I think it'll be a really tight split. I don't think there's going to be too much to separate the teams as they go. But Eltham is looking really good, and McKinnon is looking really good.
Correct. And both games will be live streamed to Waverley and Eltham for Live Sport Stream. McKinnon doing their own live stream as well.
They do.
So that will also be live stream as well. So make sure you watch that or get to those games at GSAC or the Falcons Nest. Now let's move over to the Commonwealth Games. Because Australia's doing very well.
Interestingly, game has just finished. A game has just finished. So that was the England versus Australia game, and so that has just finished as we were getting going there, and Australia has come out convincing winners over England in the girls, 118-55.
They're looking good, aren't they, the girls?
They are looking unstoppable at the moment. I don't see that there's anyone that's going to come close to them. Liz Cambage, 30 points, and what she get? Here it is. Only 5 rebounds. But her shooting percentage there was 63%.
That's right.
So that's pretty good. Other scorers, big scorers: Jen O'Hay with 9, Kelsey Griffin 14 and 8, Ezzy Magabor 14 and 4, Kayla George has got the double 11 and 10, Alice Koenig, who we mentioned earlier, 10 and 8, Nicole Seekamp rounded out with 6. and 5 each for Tessa Lavey and Steph Blivax, and Steph Talbot with 4.
And looking at that team too, by the way, that's a fairly tall team.
Yeah, it is. And the scary thing, Liz Cambage played under 18 minutes, 17.46 minutes, and she still scored 30. Imagine if they'd left her on for another 10 or 15.
Yeah, that's scary, isn't it? The smallest player on the floor is actually Tessa Lavey.
Yeah.
So
I did miss. Sorry, I apologise. I missed Katie Asbury with 7 and Belinda Snell with 3. Not a lot to mention about the English players. They struggled. Not one player got into double digits. However, the nice thing about for them was that they did actually spread the scoring around, and basically all but 2 players scored, but no. They weren't in double figures on points, and they weren't double figures in rebounds as well. So, Australia would have to be the go there. In the New Zealand game, it is halftime.
Yes, and I believe, I'm just having a look at that 38-27 lead to the New Zealanders there over the
Canadians.
This is in the men's, by the way.
Yep.
And look at Tom Abercrombie doing the damage so far. Everyone else either struggling or, but I'm sure there's still half a go. But Tom Abercrombie doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, look, it's going to be a New Zealand and Australia final. That's the way it's looking, and really it should be. And I tell you what, if it ends up being those 2 teams in the final, again it could go either way, and I wouldn't be surprised if Paul Henare can't pull a rabbit out of the hat and get them across the line in the final. I think they'll go away with the chocolates along the way. But they're doing well. Rob Lowe. Really influential in the game against Australia, and he's doing that again at the moment as well. And Shea Ili really not. Well, he's only played 8 minutes. He compared to Thomas Abercrombie's 12. So not been as dominant. He was just absolutely outstanding against Australia. Really was.
Of course, they did play early in the week, didn't they, on the weekend? 79-73. Australia got out of trouble, didn't they? Because they got behind most of that game, and they got out of trouble late in that game.
Yep. That's right.
So, and of course, Australia do play a little bit later on tonight, 9 o'clock, there against Nigeria, which they should account for them.
Yeah, they should do. One would expect that they'd do that. Tomorrow's games, which are all qualifying finals. England is into the qualifying finals for the men's.
No, obviously, does that mean Australia gets a bye?
No, it's a to be determined as to who their opposition is going to be. Actually, probably would mean a bye. Scotland also has made it. Now, Scotland's actually been playing pretty well.
Yeah, they have. I've been really impressed with how they've been playing so far.
Yeah, so I'd expect them to do well there. And again, it's going to be either Nigeria or Canada that they'll be up against. So you'll see how that goes. The women's, it's Jamaica. Jamaica is into the qualifying finals, and also New Zealand.
New Zealand should be performing reasonably well in the women's too. This
team
they've got.
Yeah.
Of course, Coach Guy Malloy.
Yep.
So, they should be performing reasonably well, especially with that team. Yeah,
they should do really well. But so their opponent is possibly going to be either
Mozambique.
Well, it could be England, or it could be it could be Mozambique. So
of course, Australia most likely will get the first round bye.
Yeah.
So there, the medal tally at the moment, Australia's way out in front. At the moment, they've got 33 gold medals, 89 in total. 28 silver and 28 bronze. England are in second, in second, 20, 21 and 14 on 55 medals. And then India. India are doing really well, and they always seem to perform really well in the Commonwealth Games, haven't they? 8 gold, 4 silver, 5 bronze, 17. Canada 7, 15 and 10 with 32 medals.
Yeah, so it'll be really interesting to see how they go. I really like it when the smaller countries actually get up there and they get their first medal. I think Tonga is trying to get their very first medal. They're the teams that I root for. Look, you'd expect Australia to be up there with England, particularly in a local locally hosted event.
But as you said though, great to see countries like Solomon Islands, Norfolk Island, Cook Islands, Cameroon, Kenya, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and all those, and a couple of those African countries getting medals.
Yeah, it's great, and Papua New Guinea with a gold medal and two silvers is absolutely fantastic. Yeah. So that's doing well.
And Samoa's got 4 too.
Samoa with two and 1.
Cyprus doing well too for gold.
Yeah.
So we'll see how all that unfolds. You would think obviously Australia and England will be well and truly out in front by the end of it. Now, just quickly, I'm going to go to the women's side of the Premier League in the soccer or the World Game.
Yeah, we should have a big graphic for this now, shouldn't we? Little. Maybe we'll work on that. We'll do something which allows that. All trumpets blaring and everything else like that.
Correct. Some results, of course, if you actually listen to my show a little bit later on tonight as well, which I had into my ambassador Stella from Metro United. They had a fantastic win, 2-1 win over West Adelaide. They actually tied the game up, West Adelaide, in that game at the Parks, but they did get the win, Metro United, late in that game. 2-1 win, Metro. Other games all went to plan. NTC, Cumberland United, all 0 score at the Adelaide Shores. Adelaide 5-0 win over Fulham United, Adelaide Uni that is, and Adelaide City 3-0 win over Salisbury Inter. They're at the Parks there, and actually I've been to both of them actually. Well, actually I haven't been to Parks, I've been to the Adelaide Shores, and going to the Adelaide Shores, Andrew, which is at West Beach near Adelaide Airport, it is windy like anything.
It really is, and it's but and it's, the wind is quite cool as well coming off the ocean there. So Parks is a lot more sheltered. Sort of up, I don't know, yeah. So up around Regency Park and so on. So, but it's the West Lakes one. It's open. It's just over. Basically, you've got some low sand dunes between the ocean, Spencer Gulf, and the playing fields. So it can actually hoof across there quite nicely. I used to teach just down the road from there, so yeah, know that well.
That's right. Well, the ladder at the moment, Adelaide City, this is going through 6 games. Adelaide City 15, Metro 13, West Adelaide 12, Adelaide Uni 9, and that's going to be, unfortunately, the top 4 unless Cumberland United can do something about it this weekend. They take on Adelaide Uni at the Shores Friday nights. It's 6:15 Adelaide time. Metro United take on NTC at the Parks. West Adelaide take on Salisbury Inter at the Shores. And Fulham United play host to Adelaide City in the top v bottom clash. Back here in Melbourne, in the other hand, results on the weekend. Heidelberg United 4-0 win over Southern United, which actually was played at Doncaster, not at Heidelberg. Geelong, great win over South Melbourne, the defending champs, 4-1 in the grand final rematch at Lakeside. NTC, great win over Box Hill 4-3 at Wembley. Cole United 3-0 win over there at Hawthorn at H.A. Smith Reserve. And Bayside United, great win there over FC Boiling Lions 2-0. Ladder at the moment, it's an interesting ladder because if people said to me that Bayside was going to be in second, South Melbourne in 5th, you'd be kidding me. So Cole United on top, 16 points. Bayside on 15. FC Boiling Lions on 13. Alamein 12. South Melbourne 10. And Box Hill and everyone else is following down the ladder. Fixtures for this weekend's action. Calder and Bulleen FC Boiling Lions at Keilor Park. That's the match of the round. Geelong Galaxy take on Sutherland United at Torquay. Box Hill take on Bayside at Wembley, because that's at Box Hill. Alamein take on South Melbourne at H.A. Smith Reserve. And Heidelberg will take on at Olympic Village there in Heidelberg. So that is all the scores there.
So, and you can take a breath now. That's rush through that. Well, we'll try and get a little bit more info on what's going on around those two leagues as well, and perhaps try and get some players to come and talk about the Women's Premier League as well in the weeks to come. So there you go.
Yes.
It's just on an hour and a half, Will.
Wow. Well, we've gone better than last week. Let's put that way.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true.
Well, the winter season has arrived.
It has indeed. So we'll bring it to a close here. Thank you very much if you've been online and watched and listened to any of this. We do appreciate the fact that you do spend a bit of time with us each week, even though this is an infrequent series, so it may be there next week or may not be, but we'll try and get there as well. We're having fun, and we hope that you are as well. Until next week then, this is Andrew Seabrook and Will Taylor signing off from Live Sports Australia and Smash FM respectively, and we will see you in the not too distant future. Ciao.
Yeah.